Hey guys, Merry Christmas! Legofan 65 here, aka Caleb. And today, to wrap up season 1 of Childhood In, Legofan 65's Childhood In, we are going to be talking about the very first release I ever received in my collection, and it's the release that got me into Thomas and Friends. Thomas's Christmas Wonderland. Let's roll! Woo woo! Okay, I got 3 copies to show you of Tom's Christmas Wonderland. They're all VHS. Sadly, no DVD because the DVD is so stupidly expensive. So here's my first copy. You're looking at it for the first time. A blue Thomas's Christmas Wonderland. This was the very first VHS tape I ever had in my collection. So I was a small toddler when I first watched it. So I can't remember specifically how I got it. So, yeah, did you know there was a blue tape of Thomas's Christmas Wonderland? Well, there is now. Now you know that there is a blue Thomas's Christmas Wonderland. Here it is. Yep, really cool. Tell me in the comments if you have a blue tape of Thomas's Christmas Wonderland. By the way, I recently put this in my VCR. The quality is trash. Like, I played this a lot as a kid. So, yeah, this tape is dead, sadly, because that was a very fun tape to have. Next up is a metallic Thomas's Christmas Wonderland. This one is from my grandmother, my paternal grandmother. So yeah, she gave this to me, but since I had that blue tape, I mainly just got the box and I kept the tape at her house, but until I actually got the tape, because hey, I wanted the tape reunited with its owner. So yeah, really nice item to have. So yeah, and by the way, this black tape here, more common one, this plays miles better, but not as good as the last one I have to show you. It is a, there's a tape sliding out, I'm just going to leave that there. It's a non-metallic Thomas's Christmas Wonderland, which plays a little bit better than the metallic one. So this one my mother recently found at a Goodwill. If you saw my physical media collection video, I pointed out that she found this at a Goodwill for me the day I was making the collection video. So once again, shout out to my mother. So, yeah. Really nice to have. If I ever make a custom DVD out of a VHS tape, this will be it. And I want to get a DVD Thomas's Christmas Wonderland, but I don't think that'll ever happen since it's rare and the tape just fell out. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at these covers here. They're practically the same. The reason I don't have my blue one here is because it doesn't have a box. So let's take a look at this one first, the non-metallic one. Very fun cover. Love the title Thomas Christmas Wonderland, and there's of course Thomas covered in snow because it's a Christmas video, and then there's Thomas, James, and Percy from, I think that's Thomas and the Missing Christmas Tree, because I remember Percy and James not having those faces up until season 2. I don't watch Thomas 24/7, dudes. So here's the back cover here. I find it odd that Alec Baldwin isn't mentioned with George Carlin, and he narrated the episode Snow. So, yeah, it also says 2 new stories, and it only says that there's, and the description says, in the all-new story Snow. So, what's the second one? Is this cover lying? Are we only getting one? So anyway, yeah, here's the number of the episodes on here. Thomas and Percy's Christmas Adventure. Should say Mountain Adventure since it's a US release. And of course, Thomas. Alright, now let's take a look at this one. This is the metallic one. The only difference with this one is that it's more shiny. So, yeah. Sides are the same. This side's a little bashed up because I've had this one longer. And, yeah, practically the same thing. The non-metallic one plays more shape. So, yeah. It feels great to have not just one, not just 2, but 3 Tom's Christmas Wonderlands. The very first Tom's release I ever had. Well, particularly this one. Again, these 2 were gifts from family members. Well, same as that one, but yeah, these 2 are in better condition, particularly the non-metallic one. So, we're going to put this in the player and rank the episodes. Okay, VCR on! Okay, so on this release, we have 6 episodes of Thomas and Friends. 2 from Season 1, 1 from Season 2, 1 from Season 3, 1 from Season 4, and 1 from Season 5. They are Snow, Thomas's Christmas Party, Thomas and the Missing Christmas Tree, Terrence the Tractor, Thomas and Percy's Christmas Adventure, and Special Funnel, as well as the Snow Song. Okay, now it's time we rank these episodes from worst to best. In 6th place, at dead last, is Thomas and Percy's Mountain Adventure. Yes, I'm pretty sure this was no surprise to anyone. Before we talk about the problems that it has, let's talk about what this episode is about and the positive aspects of it. In this episode, it is Thanksgiving on the island of Sodor, and as Percy is delivering parcels to a village, they learn the citizens are snowed in, so they need to clear the snow out of the village so they can get their parcels. This is a great plot, and is not a negative about this episode at all. I also love the suspenseful music that plays in the background as they are going to the village. Okay, now let's talk about the problems. First one is the Thanksgiving aspect of the episode. The problem with it is that Thanksgiving is not a holiday celebrated in the UK, and it was there for Shining Time Station only, since it was an American show to introduce Thomas to us in the USA. But it does not work here. And the biggest problem of all throughout the globe is the editing process. In this certain release, George Carlin's narration goes out of place and says what is going to happen right before we actually see it. And on other releases, such as Percy's Ghostly Trick, the narration is in the right spot, but the sound effects go out of place. I don't understand why, but that's what it is. So yeah, this is the worst episode on here. Not a great way to finish Season 3. Not for the plot, it was great, but in the editing portion of the episode, it was pretty bad. So let's move on. In 5th place is Terrence the Tractor. In this episode, Thomas meets a tractor named Terrence, who thinks that his caterpillar tracks are ugly and not helpful. However, when he gets trapped in the snow, Terrence comes to help him out and learns that tractors are also useful despite their shape. I remember as a child, I was really disappointed that Terrence wasn't used a whole lot in the show. He was rarely used throughout the entire classic era, and we didn't see him again until Terrence Breaks the Ice from Season 21. He then skipped all of Season 22 and only appeared in one scene in Diesel Do Right from Season 23, and we have not seen him ever since. Mattel, who doesn't give a crap that they have ruined Thomas, give Terrence more screen time. Actually, you know what? Don't do that, because you will probably change his character and give him a redesign, and we don't really need that. So, that's my criticism of this episode. Let's talk about the positives now. I love the scene where Thomas gets stuck in the snow because it shows you that you really do need a snowplow if you want to be safe in the snow. And it also teaches us the lesson that you can't just judge someone based on their appearance, but instead by their personality. So, this episode gets a pass for me. In 4th place, I've put Thomas's Christmas Party. What a way to end Season 1. In this episode, Thomas plans to thank Mrs. Kindly for rescuing him from a landslide the year prior. He plans to do this by throwing a Christmas party for her. However, when Sir Topham Hatt gives news that she is snowed in, Thomas and Toby must come to her rescue. I don't really have a whole lot to say about this episode. I wasn't really obsessed with it as a small child, but I will say again that this episode is probably my second favorite of Season 1 next to Thomas and Bertie's Great Race. I will also say that this episode teaches us the lesson that Christmas is more about giving than getting presents, and it was a great way to end Season 1. I can't say anything else about it, so let's move on. In 3rd place is Special Funnel. Now, I consider this episode to be one of the best of Season 4. Not at number 1, but in the top 3. My favorite episode of Season 4 is Trucks, but that's for another review. In this episode, Peter Sam struggles with his old funnel due to his accident with some slate cars, and even at one point loses it in a tunnel, so Sir Topham Hatt gives him a new one. Now, the Unlucky Tug says that this is his favorite episode of all time in the show. I now see that this episode is a fan favorite in general. I love how the scenery in this episode looks so realistic that it looks like you are actually on Sodor because, well, it's Season 4. It has beautiful visuals. This episode is also my introduction to the narrow gauge engines, and this episode is the reason why I love them, especially Rusty and Duncan, and that's why I love Special Funnel so much, and that's why it's in the top 3 of this list. Now, do you remember in my Thomas's Snowy Surprise review, I said I struggled to figure out if I liked Snow or Thomas and the Missing Christmas Tree better? Well, I finally made my decision. So, in 2nd place, I've put Snow. As I've stated in my Thomas' Snowy Surprise review, this is the first Thomas episode I ever remember watching as a whole. Therefore, I have a lot of nostalgia for this episode. If I had one nitpick about this episode, it would have to be on one of the releases of the complete Series 5 DVDs in the UK. They put it at the second to last on the episode of the season, ending with Rusty and the Boulder. However, it's really the other way around. However, that's not the episode's fault. That blame goes to the company that made the DVD. Now let's talk about the episode itself. In this episode, snow has fallen heavily all over Sodor, and Thomas is sent to help Rusty clear out the snow from a tunnel. However, when he gets stuck in the snow, Rusty decides to tell him about an adventure that Skarloey had high up in the mountains. Now, this episode itself is the reason why I'm in love with scenes involving a landslide or an avalanche. The scene with Skarloey getting buried in the snow is such a huge guilty pleasure for me to watch. I cannot tell you how many times I would get out my taken place Skarloey and bury him in whatever I could possibly find. Sand, Lego bricks, or snow itself, really. That credit would also go to Gordon when he got buried at the end of the episode. Now, recently, my good YouTube companion Trevor Davis had criticism that there was no way that Skarloey's workmen could have survived being in ice drinking hot cocoa. I would have to agree with him on that, but I consider that a nitpick as well. So, I would highly consider this episode a true masterpiece and a great way to end Season 5. So, that leaves us with number 1, Thomas and the Missing Christmas Tree. In my Thomas' Snowy Surprise review, I had it tied with Snow for my favorite episode on the release, but all I said was that it was from Season 2 and that's my favorite season of the show, and I didn't get into full detail on it. So, let's talk about the episode. In this episode, Thomas is given a task to go collect a Christmas tree for a Christmas party at Tidmouth Station. However, when he is on the way back, he gets stuck and buried in the snow. Once Sir Topham Hatt learns the news, he sends Donald and Douglas to go search for him. Now, at the part where Donald and Douglas find Thomas, me and my mother used to quote that certain scene where Donald says, "Come on, the Broadway engine must be frozen to the flames in there," over and over again. Because, well, it's Donald and Douglas. Who doesn't love them? I know Nick Starwin doesn't. They are actually his favorite characters. Shout out to him. Go check out his content. It's good. Now, if I only had one nitpick about this episode, it would have to be that at one point Donald had one of Edward's faces for some odd reason. But other than that, this episode is excellent and a great way to end Season 2. Now let's talk about the Snow Song. It's underrated. It's very underrated. I don't understand why people don't give this song that much attention. Winter Wonderland gets a lot of attention, but not the Snow Song? Come on! But overall, it's a decent song, and a song I have a lot of nostalgia for. Again, first Thomas release I ever had, so therefore, first song in Thomas and Friends I ever heard. So yeah, decent song. So in conclusion, do I recommend Thomas's Christmas Wonderland? Yes. As a whole, yes. There's obviously Ultimate Christmas that has the exact same episodes on here as well as 3 Season 6 episodes. I think those are It's Only Snow, Jack Frost, Toby Had a Little Lamb. Yeah, those are the episodes. But, again, this was the very first Thomas release I ever had. And the first VHS tape that got me into VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray collecting. So, I highly recommend you pick up this release. The only nitpick about it is that there are obviously errors on the back cover. So, but other than that, this tape is excellent. 10 out of 10. I can't recommend this release high enough. If you don't have it, go and get it now. That officially wraps up Season 1 of Legofan 65's Childhood In. Thank you so much for the support you've given me these past few months. And I just can't thank you enough. Thank you so much. Now, Childhood In will begin Season 2 with Monsters, Inc., requested by Movies and Train Studios. See you guys later, and have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Peace.